2 degrees in Jefferson City. Good morning, everyone, and here's some of the stories that we are working on for you at this hour. 2 quick updates before we get to our news. MUPD officers are alerting the public that training exercises are taking place today and Thursday around Mizzou Arena in Columbia. A number of emergency vehicles are at the area right now around Mizzou Arena, and they include bomb squad units, the MUPD civil support team. MUPD emphasizes these are exercises. They are urging you not to call 911 about this training unless you're reporting an actual emergency. The training started about 4 minutes ago, goes until 5 o'clock today and Thursday as well. Also, authorities reminding you that the statewide tornado drill in Missouri is this morning at 10. Outdoor warning sirens across the state will sound at that time. Schools, businesses, families being encouraged to participate in the drill. Schools are encouraged to use the exercise as an educational tool for students by incorporating tornado facts and safety tips into their lesson plans. Efforts to prevent suicides at Columbia's tallest parking garage are continuing. The city announcing last night at the council meeting they finished a $489,000 project to install fencing on the top level of the 5th and Walnut parking garage. It's a big fence. The council last night also first reading a bill to fund the installation of side window panels. City spokesperson Sidney Olson tells 93.9 The Eagle that steel panels would cover the open spots at the garage. Our news partner ABC 17 reported last fall that a resident named Jonathan White led a petition effort for more adequate suicide prevention barriers at the 9-level garage. Mr. White had a petition in September. He noted there had been 8 suicides at the garage, ranging from people in their 20s to their early 90s. Staff recommending the council approve the installation of the side window panels at the next meeting. It's a $504,000 project. It would be paid for by the general fund. Columbia's mayor last night introducing a bill to provide community memberships to MACC's new state-of-the-art makerspace lab on the business loop. Mayor Brian Treese tells 93.9 The Eagle improving job skills is more important now than ever as we pull out of the pandemic.
I mean, think about if you were downsized or maybe just part of that great quit, where you want to go do something else for a change. This is a way that you can scale up. You can take that step with a 3D printer. Maybe you want to invent something.
Mayor Treese and Missouri's Governor Mike Parson helping to cut the ribbon on the lab. That happened last week. The mayor's proposal also includes $300,000 in funding to provide customized training to Columbia employers during the next 4 years. The money would provide training to about 10 to 20 training activities each year. Speaking of the mayor and what's happening on the business loop, Mayor Treese also says Moberly Area Community College provides virtually all of the workforce training for Columbia's successful economic development programs.
You look at Route B with all of the manufacturing at Aurora Dairy, New Swift, Dana Corp, all of those commercial engineers and electricians got their training and their start right here at MAC.
3M and Kraft Heinz also have plans in that area. And a fight between 2 teens in mid-Missouri has a mom reportedly looking at criminal charges. We'll have that story from our colleague John Marsh coming your way at the bottom of the hour. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this morning by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean. For all of your heating needs, log on to airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:07. In sports, we begin this hour with wrestling. Congratulations to the MU wrestling team. They win the 2022 Big 12 Championships in Tulsa, Oklahoma, taking home the title in their first year following its conference championship and a subsequent departure from the conference back in 2012. Brian Smith named the Big 12 Coach of the Year. College hoops, Mizzou and Ole Miss men's basketball in the SEC tournament. That will be in Tampa, Florida. Our time, the game will tip tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Pregame coverage 4:30 on our Zimmer Central Bank Tiger Radio Network affiliate, KCMQ 96.7. Chris and also Mike Kelly on the call, and that game will be again tomorrow afternoon. A tip of our time, 5 o'clock. It'll be 6 o'clock actually in Florida at that time. Our sports brought to you this hour by Witt Print Shop, where your printed products are so much more than ink and paper. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:08. All right, Kevin, thanks so much. Good to hear your voice. Right now, it is chilly. Clear skies, 23 degrees. Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. Midmohires.com. Find a job or post your job opening today. Roads right now are pretty quiet in mid-Missouri. Right now, we hope that continues. Again, a reminder, there are bomb squad vehicles and MUPD vehicles around Mizzou Arena at this hour right now. Do not be alarmed. Do not call 911. That is a training exercise, and that will be taking place today until 5 o'clock, same time again on Thursday. They're urging people not to call 911 unless you have an actual emergency to report. We'll have another update coming your way at the bottom of the hour. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
So I'm going to say this once. We have a lot of public hearings tonight, a lot of material to get through, a lot of agenda to cover. Please refrain from any public demonstrations. No slap, no clapping, cheering, booing, snapping, clicking, whistling. When the public comment period is over, then it is council's turn to have our discussion. And I would appreciate if you show the same decorum that we show to you by listening to you.
Man, that's City of Columbia Mayor Brian Treese, or as Brian Hauswirth refers to him as Brian.
If you're not holding the talking stick, you don't get to talk.
And I'm not making fun of Treese. Treese is he's always done a very good job of managing city council meetings, and he's always been very polite. So what is it that had folks going that he had to say, hey, listen, man, we have some decorum and stuff, so shut your mouths? I don't think that's not an exact quote, but
You read between the lines, right?
Yeah.
And there was some radio station saying lots of activists showed up and yelled, were yelling a lot, right? Was that it? Was that it?
Yeah, people were clapping because somebody said, and I heard on some conservative talk station, there was a city councilman, and he was telling the truth, and it really hurt my feelings. My goodness. So what had people going? Do want to get into that here in a few minutes. But, man, like around 10 o'clock today here in town, it's going to get weird. We have the tornado drill, statewide tornado drill, I think happens at 10.
Yes.
And then we got a lot of things happening on campus today, which can really throw people off because just so you know, they're doing some big training around the campus today, and it'll be like right on stadium there, right there at the arena by the football stadium.
Right at Mizzou Arena, outside Mizzou Arena. It's going to take place today and Thursday, and the times, Branden, are pretty long. We're talking about 6 and then another 5. That's 11 hours of training starting at 6 going until 5. So people inevitably are going to see these emergency vehicles. They're going to see bomb squad vehicles. They're going to see the civil support team. They're going to see MUPD, other agencies. Their concern is they don't want people calling 911 unless it's an actual emergency. So if you see this activity, don't be alarmed. It's going to be going on both of those days, today and Thursday, and then the statewide tornado drills at 10.
Yeah, but no one's really going to call 911. They're going to take a picture and post it on Twitter and say, what's going on at Mizzou? And then everyone's like, something's going on at Mizzou. And then we play social media telephone.
The sky is falling. The sky is falling.
That's the risk.
That's why I'm thinking like right around 10 o'clock this morning. Can you imagine if you're on campus, you're filming that, and do it right at 10 because we're going to hear the sirens countywide. Can you imagine without context? Think about this for a second, because this is what happens a lot. If somebody were to take video of this training going on by Mizzou right off of stadium, 10 o'clock this morning, and you get it while the sirens are going off, and you were to post that video, and so this was happening in Boone County today with what's happening with Ukraine and Russia, without context, if people were to see this video on Facebook of sirens and first line responder, right? It
could freak people out. Also, what we don't have yet is if you are near one of the talkie tornado sirens, we don't have one of those. We don't have a Columbia one.
There's a couple in Jeff City, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, we have some in Columbia, but I don't know that anyone's ever recorded it, gotten it on tape, and sent it to us from Columbia. I haven't heard it. I've got the Jeff City one.
Yeah.
But if you're near it, Send it to us. Let us know. Does it say anything special?
Because the Jefferson City one, the tornado alarm there, that talks, like, that's bizarre stuff, man. That, like, freaks. It's just weird.
So,
that
add that
happened
on.
over the last fall. It came out. People didn't, and some of them didn't fire correctly, as I recall. They were working on those. But yeah, the biggest thing is if we had any severe threat or even a chance of rain today, they wouldn't fire it off. Forecast looks good. Cloudy skies, high of 42. So this one's going to go today.
I'm still just a little salty with the Jefferson City sirens because they go off for like just regular severe weather sometimes, even if it's not a tornado watch or warning.
Well, that's what I wonder. Like, every month they go off, and whenever I hear it first thing, oh, yeah, it's that time of the month. And then, but when it happens, stop it, Hannah. But when it happens, when it is that time of the month, I just ignore it.
But go figure.
But we've been having like some thunder, snow, and thunderstorms like in the last week or so. I've heard thunder, so it can freak people out if you haven't been paying attention and you're kind of caught off guard.
Yeah, and here's the other thing to keep in mind is that, and you're exactly right about that, and there is another chance of snow on Thursday and Friday. But dispatchers do have some discretion, and the people do have some discretion if they feel like there is an emergency. It has happened before where they have hit those sirens, especially if they feel like it is a risk. And I'll tell you, go back to 2019 in Jefferson City, and I remember covering that terrible tornado. Thank God nobody was killed. Jeff City was not even in the tornado watch that night. Columbia was in the tornado watch. Now, eventually there was a tornado warning, but it just goes to show you how quickly things can change, and ended up being an EF3 tornado. So, and they did have to fire this, but there was no watch that night up until very, very, just a few minutes before when the warning came out.
Sure.
Last night, Sarah Diedrich, Public Safety Information Specialist for the university, talking to our friends at ABC 17.
Be informed, make a plan, build a kit, and then lastly, get involved.
Make a plan, be informed, know what's going on, and I love that at the end. Get involved. Mm-hmm. And she's not talking politics or social issues. She's saying get involved with what's going on. And I look back, do I have a plan? Nope. I don't have a plan. I mean, I would just do whatever comes up, and I would come here, I guess, actually, if the weather got crazy, because that's how we do at 93.9.
Put on your real shoes. That's what my mom always tells me. No flip-flops. If there's a storm coming, you don't want, like, your shoes to fly away. You want them on your feet. That's the rule. Put on real shoes.
That's a good take. So put on real shoes if there's a chance of a tornado, and if I'm meeting with people today, in a business sense, shoes are required.
It was funny. What was the first thing I said to you when I walked in this morning?
So this morning, Hannah comes in and she says, "Well, you look nice today." And I'm like, "I'm not doing anything different."
You normally don't look very nice.
I said you're dressed up today. What you dressed up for?
And I have a thing today, a meeting or whatever.
A date.
But, it's not a date. It's not a date. It's not even by the slightest stretch of the imagination.
Is it with a lady?
No, it's with 3 dudes.
Oh, that's ambitious.
No, it's a thing.
Your face is red.
So Hannah says, "Well, you look nice." I'm like, "I put on a shirt." I said, "But look, I still don't have any shoes on."
Got to get them nice flip-flops out.
Got the nice flip-flops out for this meeting today. Welcome to the show. Glad you could be here. Okay, last night's city council meeting, couple of interesting things happened. Number one, this ARPA. There's a group of people, and I loved how City Councilwoman Pat Fowler, because she's been getting a lot of credit for this. I think she got a big write-up in the Missourian about this thing, and her idea was to take all of the ARPA money, the resolution, to commit 100% of American Rescue Plan Act funds towards addressing longstanding inequities. In other words, hey, if you're black or brown, we're going to just give you money just because. And don't worry about the people who were actually affected by what happened because of city leadership when they shut down these businesses, hamstrung a lot of our local businesses. Those are the people who should get the money. The first responders, by the way, who got no time off, got no breaks, and were forced to on a regular basis. over the past couple of years deal with, they had to go out and work. They had to respond to health care issues. They couldn't worry about, who's wearing a mask or not. They had to do this stuff. Why not give them money? And I enjoyed this. So there was a big article about Pat Fowler the other day in the Missourian. And it seemed to me, first thing I thought, and I wished I would have said something yesterday, it's like, she knows this is going to fail because this is, there is just no equation between ARPA money and what you are trying to do with this, none at all. So in this article that was praising her, she was real quick to say, well, there's a lot of people involved in this, and Ian Thomas over here, this guy too. And sure enough, last night at the meeting, first thing she says about this is, hey, there was a lie. It wasn't just me. So I look at it as like, because when you're about ready to get in trouble, what do? You start bringing other names into the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do like to do that.
Yeah.
Like when you get kicked off of YouTube.
Yeah, you start, well, Hannah didn't push the button in time. Or with, if I get caught talking, well, so-and-so said this, we bring other, and that's exactly what Pat Fowler was doing, probably in anticipation. But I was actually kind of surprised this resolution to take 100% of the money and let's give it to these people because, the way the system's built. So we'll take all this money that taxpayers have paid over the years, and we'll just give it to them. Why are you going to give it to them? Well, because of the color of their skin. That's why. Well, why don't we give it, Ms. Fowler, to, like, the first responders that were affected about this? What about the businesses that city leadership put out of business over the past few years with their undue restrictions? Why not give it to those people? Why not to the first responders? What about the business owners that lost life savings? Because you want it to go to people most affected by this, right? If you're going to take my tax money, just give it to the people most affected by this. The vote was 4-3. People said no. Betsy Peters, Matt Pitzer is here. I was surprised. Carl Scala.
Wow.
Your man.
My boy, Carl Scala, who's a big fan of pickleball. He understands pickleball. And Brian Treese, Mayor Brian Treese. Now, Carl Scala is running for re-election against, I think, this Roy Lovelady. If anybody knows this guy, he's kind of like a wildcat opponent. I like him. I do.
Okay.
Like, I would love for Roy Lovelady to win that race. So it failed. 4-3. The other big thing, school resource officer talk. We'll have some of that coming up for you this morning here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com, where you can listen live. You can also watch the show by going to our YouTube channel, 93.9 The Eagle, and you pot it up on the smart TV, and everybody can watch. As a matter of fact, we're working on trying to find something. Maybe somebody saw this yesterday. I can't remember if it was like 7:35, 8:35. We were talking, we're on the air, and I'm saying something and I don't. Maybe it was funny to nobody else in the world, but if you were watching yesterday, this little thing happened on camera.
Oh, I know what you're talking
about. Did you threaten Stephanie again with a weapon?
Yeah, we need to post that
I know.
video.
We need to. Can we post that, please, Hannah? That's a great video. You know what? Listen, let me take a break here. Hannah does these things all the time, these pieces of video and stuff, and I'm like, that's great work. Great subject material, but great work on what she does with editing and putting it together. And I'm like, hey, did you post that? No, it doesn't get much response. I think you need to be a bigger fan. You need to be I'm a big fan of your work, Stephanie.
Yeah.
It's the Facebook algorithm.
So what if it doesn't do well? Who cares?
Okay.
I don't care. Do you?
No.
People should see you brag on yourself once in a while.
I didn't do anything special.
Well, you took the video and took the. All right, we got to move forward. I got to get to today's.
I took a screen recording.
Daily DC rundown. What do you have for us, Steph?
Well, we met Missouri's first crypto lobbyist, but why the crypto lobbyists in DC might be in a bit of a tiz this morning.
It's coming up, Daily DC rundown here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
the talk show for awesome folks like you. Wake Up Columbia, 93.9 The Eagle.
Whereas swing voters, the Trump-Biden voters, they seem to buy the idea that Putin wouldn't have done this if Trump were president. How does the Democratic Party answer for that?
Chuck Todd is an idiot. That leads us off in today's Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell. He's saying, so there's a lot of us, and I am one of those front and center. Trump were president, and I don't like to do the what-if game. We would not be in the situation with Ukraine and Russia. And Chuck Todd, well, you're wrong.
Well, he didn't do it when Trump was president, and he did do it now. So,
There you go, Your Honor. Exhibits A and B, case closed, verdict is in, you win.
Well, consistent with the Biden administration, we're throwing a lot of money at the problem. $12 billion is the proposed aid that we plan to send. So that will include pay for refugees, medical and food supplies, weapons, transfers to Ukraine, and aid for nearby NATO allies. So right now, that's what we're planning to do.
We'll have some more of your Daily DC Rundown coming up with Sorry You're So Short. With Chris Farps, and we'll cover some of these Daily DC topics.
You suck.
Sorry.
Crypto, that's important.
Arps is here at 6:35.
News. I'm Chris Foster. The United Nations says 2 million people have now left Ukraine to escape the Russian invasion.
Many arrive here in Poland.
Right now, we don't know what to do. We really don't know what to do.
We met Lena at a train station. She's 18 and had been preparing to go to college. Her home city, Kharkiv, has come under some of the heaviest bombardments.
We're really scared for our future.
In Rzeszów, Poland, Simon Owen, Fox News.
The energy company Shell shutting down operations in Russia and says it'll stop buying Russian fuel. Suspects in a drive-by shooting at a high school in Des Moines, Iowa are in custody. One boy died. 2 girls are in critical condition.
The shots were fired, according to investigators, shortly before classes at East High School were scheduled to end for the day. Details on the suspects and what motive they may have had have not been released.
Fox's Gernal Scott. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. We're expecting a beautiful day today, albeit on the chilly side. We're not going to see any precipitation until later in the week. Cloudy skies today with a high of around 42 degrees. Cloudy and then clearing skies tonight with the overnight low around 28. And the outlook for tomorrow, sunshine, a high of 48. And then the chance of the snow comes in on Thursday into Friday. Right now, a little too early to talk about numbers, but we're looking at least a couple of inches of snow, and that forecast model continues to change. We'll keep you posted on that throughout the day. 23 degrees right now in Columbia. It's 22 degrees in Jefferson City. Good morning, everyone, and here's some of the stories that we are working on for you at this hour. A Jefferson City mother who allegedly got involved in her son's fight is now charged with assault.
The Cole County prosecutor has charged a Jefferson City woman after she took her 14-year-old son to fight another 14-year-old and allegedly got involved in the fight herself. Donica Nelson is now charged with second-degree assault. A fight broke out. The victim told police he hit Nelson's son, causing him to fall down. He says that's when Nelson allegedly slashed the victim with a pocket knife, cutting the victim's right hand and face. The victim and his friends ran off and had to get medical treatment. John Marsh, 93.9 The Eagle.
All right, John, thank you. Columbia officials say fencing has now been completed on the top level of a downtown parking garage. It's seen several suicides since 2011. The city council approving a $489,000 project for the 5th and Walnut garage in October 2020. But city officials say COVID escalated the cost of materials, especially steel components. That is why the city is working in phases. The council first reading a bill Monday night for the installation of side side window panels on the garage. The $500,000 project will be paid for from the general fund. Columbia's mayor has introduced a proposal to provide about $500,000 in community memberships to MACC's new state-of-the-art lab on the Business Loop. Mayor Brian Tree says there is a lot of potential.
So that everybody in Columbia has access to a membership here at this Mac Lab Makerspace, so that they can take that next step.
City Council first reading the bill at the meeting last night. Another part of the proposal would provide scholarships to Columbia's public school students, CPS, to participate in career and technical education programs offered by MACC. Another issue that came up last night that was first read involving Columbia is a new fire station in the northeast part of Columbia. They're looking at St. Charles Road and East Richland Road. That would be a $3.2 million project. It has already been funded, essentially, with the capital improvement sales tax funding. We'll have more on that for you coming up at the top of the hour. And again, a quick reminder, MUPD officers are conducting training right now as we speak around Mizzou Arena. A number of bomb squad vehicles at that location. MUPD, Civil Support Team, other authorities are at Mizzou Arena. Do not be alarmed. They are urging you not to call 911. This is simply a training exercise. They'll be out there until 5 today. They'll also be doing training on Thursday from 6 in the morning until 5. Our news is brought to you this hour by MidAmericaMortgage.us, and apply now for a loan on your dream home. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:35. In sports, let's start with the SEC men's basketball tournament. It'll take place this year in Tampa, Florida. The Mizzou men's basketball team battling Ole Miss, the Rebels, tomorrow afternoon in the tournament. Tigers coming in with a record of 11-20. The game will tip off our time at 5 o'clock in Tampa. 4:30 the pregame. Mike Kelly and Chris Trevino already in Florida. The team took off yesterday so they can get time to practice today. They'll have a little time to practice tomorrow as well. Mike and Chris on the call. 4:30. KCMQ is our Zimmer radio network from the Tiger Network affiliate, Zimmer affiliate, and that will be getting underway at 4:30 tomorrow. FM 96.7. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:35. And our traffic check is brought to you by MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. Statewide tornado drill is today at 10 a.m. You're going to hear outdoor warning sirens across Missouri sounding at that time. Be prepared. Schools, businesses, families all being encouraged to participate. And again, training exercises underway right now outside Mizzou Arena. Bomb squad units, a number of other vehicles parked outside. Do not be alarmed. That is training going on. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. We have breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Chris. Hi, I'm Becky Arps, and I am so excited that you get to experience a bit of the thoughts I hear every single day. Enjoy.
Chris. You see him on Newsmax TV all the time.
CHRIS.
ChrisArps.com. Our good buddy Chris Arps. Welcoming, when it comes to the knowledge of what happens in Jefferson City, few people as knowledgeable as Christopher Arps. Well, except for Brian Hauswirth. And except for Rodney Boyd.
Exactly.
And except for Scott Fawn, maybe. And so there's a few, but you're definitely like in the top 100 when it comes to...
Wow.
No, you're the tops, bud. Chris Arps, ChrisArps.com joining us here on the show. Interesting to see, we didn't get a chance to get to this in the Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell at 6:26. As a matter of fact, we didn't get the chance to get to a whole lot because we as a team are running behind here on the show. We're running late.
Oh, it's a team.
It's a team effort, man.
Oh, okay.
Listen, we win as a team, we succeed as a team, and sometimes we fail as a team. And right now this morning we were failing to be on time. But interesting story. Supreme Court of the United States, and I'm interested in this because a lot of eyes, not just right now in Missouri, but across the nation on what's happening in the Missouri Senate right now with redistricting.
Yeah, so I guess there were maps drawn in North Carolina and Pennsylvania. Both sets of maps are congressional maps favored Democrats. There were challenges made to both of those maps. They asked the Supreme Court to step in and block those for use in the 2020 elections. The Supreme Court then declined to do so. So those Democrat-favored maps will stay in place at least through 2022.
And that doesn't surprise me. I mean, the Supreme Court in elections and things of that nature, they tend to want to keep them local. They want the people there drawing the maps. They don't want to get involved in that. So that doesn't surprise me too much. What are we, 5 weeks into the new legislative session? We still don't have congressional maps for Missouri. This is supposed to be the week that there's supposed to be a compromise. I hope there's a compromise because there's a lot of work to be done in this session. 7-1 is unreasonable. I think there should be a 6-2 map and a 6-2 map that makes Congressman Ann Wagner's district as strong as possible.
I agree with you on the 6-2-7-1 thing, but I'll tell you, I've got a good bunch of friends from the Columbia Pachyderm Club and other folks, man. They look at me in disdain, I think, when they see me over the past couple of months. Because I think, like any conservative, yes, we'd all love to have a 7-1. I think we've even argued, heck, we'd love to have a 12-0 map, right? Wouldn't that be a dream world? And that would be idealistic. But we also, I think, have to be realistic. But here's where I start to get concerned, and I look at cases like this. If we don't settle this in the Senate and it starts going to courts, I almost, and I want to get your opinion on this, sometimes I'm like, man, it could go to court and it could be worse than a 6-2. I might be stretching there, but you never know when these things get in the hands of courts. And here's why I get worried about, a 5-3, because I've heard a lot of these folks in the Senate say, well, that we need a map that's indicative of Missouri. Well, okay, if you want to look at it that way, if it's going to be completely indicative of its politics, it would be more of a 5-3 map if you want to argue that route, and that's a bad argument. I don't think we have anything to stand on, and a lot of my friends in the local pachyderm clubs, I'm not their favorite guy right now because I'm in favor of the 6-2.
But let's...
go ahead.
Well, look at the logistics, though, with the State House. I mean, they're going on spring break next week, so they are like staring down, spring break vacation. I mean, what are the chances, you think, at this point of getting something done in the next few days?
Well, they keep saying that they will. I mean, we've got to have maps, lines, boundaries drawn for these congressional seats. I think the legislature, the Senate, and the House, I think they know how imperative it is that we have these. And I think they're going to work hard at it. I tell you what, I'll give you a case in point of a judge deciding the rules or the lines. My wife was on the St. Louis County redistricting committee for the council members. The Democrats, Republicans almost had identical maps. They couldn't come to a conclusion at the end. So a judge ended up drawing the map. In one of the maps, County Councilman, a Republican, Fitch, he was drawn out of his district in the Democratic map, but also in the Democratic map, a Democratic council person was drew into her district to make sure she stayed in. Everyone saw that was BS, but the judge ruled that the Councilman Fitch is drawn out of his district while the Democrat is drawn into her district. And this is a judge, Nanette Baker. She used to be a Channel 5 reporter here in town back in the day. She's now a federal judge, and that's the decision she made a couple of weeks ago, which I think is totally unfair. But what can you do after a judge makes the decision?
So after the first standoff, I mean, hasn't some of the debate about 7-1 kind of settled down, and really a lot of people are looking at what 6-2 map can we agree on? And it seems to me that a lot of the debate is over what county you keep together or what county is in control of that congressional district. And I think there's a lot of stuff around St. Charles and a lot of stuff about keeping Jefferson County together. So, you're right there in the heat of it. What are you hearing about, the importance of keeping counties together and then having that largest county in the district?
Yeah, I know it's very important to the St. Charles delegation that they've wanted this for years, for St. Charles to all be in one map. Dave Schatz, Senate leader, he was making noise the other day saying that that's the reason why the St. Charles delegation is pushing for a 7-1 map, because they wanted to help their future political careers. Who knows? I think 7-1 is just a bad idea. I think it's it's something that can be done. We have the numbers, but sometimes having the numbers and doing something is not always the best thing. And one thing that really made me a little disconcerted with the 7-1 map is when the proponents of that started using the argument that, well, we need more pro-life legislators in the district. That's why we need or in Congress. That's why we need a 7-1 map. No one was talking anything about pro-life or anything until because it wasn't getting any traction, a 7-1 map. But now they felt that bringing pro-life in, maybe that would get some traction on this. And that just kind of turned me off a little bit because it just seemed disingenuous.
Well, yeah, by the way, our guest, Chris Arps, chrisarps.com, writes for Red State. See him on Newsmax TV all the time. One of the other things that Shat said over the weekend to some of our friends in the media, he says, by the way, this 7-1 thing, he says it's a fallacy. And he says, according to him, he's like, we're not even talking about a 7-1. Behind closed doors. But yeah. I'm right on. And what he was telling some of our friends in the media matches up with what we had been thinking. Listen, we had, and to be polite, I haven't named the guy, but about a month ago, we had an out-of-district state senator. I don't think I'm exaggerating, but just about begging for airtime on this show. Caleb Rowden's backyard, of course. This is Caleb Rowden's home court here. Right. Guy, I had never talked to the guy before. But this conversation that I had with him, I mean, they were like pleading for airtime, wouldn't take no for an answer to come on here and pee on Caleb Rowden's fire hydrant in his backyard. And I'm like, dude, you're campaigning. We see why you're doing this. And I think Dave Schatz, who is, by the way, he's running for Senate also on U.S. Senate. We're playing so many games of dominoes right now with politics. Exactly. It's crazy.
And there's so many people out in St. Charles County that are running for office, that are running for, county executive, that are running for additional Senate seats, that potentially some of them out there are running for maybe a congressional seat. I think a lot of people see this as politics more than good policy.
All right, Chris Arps, ChristopherArps.com, hanging out with us on the show if you want to hang for a few more. What is your knowledge of cryptocurrency?
About as much as yours.
Good. Then we're on the same playing field. We're in the same racquetball court, man. I want to talk about that. I know it must be a good thing because Joe wants to, they want to regulate it. Now, we'll cover some of that coming up with Christopher Arps here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. More of our visit with Chris coming up, 6:51.
CHRIS.
Wake up. Columbia. Good morning.
Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert. Mid-Missouri is listening.
No clapping, cheering, booing, snapping, clicking, whistling.
Mayor Brian Trish last night's city council meeting, not admonishing people, but having to remind people, hey, please don't boo, clap, cheer, slap, snap, click, pop, whatever it is you do. Don't do it out of respect for all the other people. So what was it that was going on that he had to kind of step down for a minute and say, whoa, keep your mouth shut?
What's that clip where it's like, I want a clean match? Is it like no hitting, no spitting?
Yeah. And I'm exaggerating. He didn't say keep your mouth shut, but we'll have that coming up 7:10 here on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle. Pretty interesting. I think two big surprising things happened at the meeting last night. I'm Branden Rathert. Stephanie Bell Hanna, the producer, and Brian Hauswirth joining us. Christopher Arps, who knows state politics, joining us here on the show. ChrisArps.com. He writes for Red State. See him all the time on Newsmax TV. What do you know about crypto?
I know very, very little, maybe just enough to be dangerous.
See, I don't even know that much, but I think we have a mutual friend in Epen Thampy who's in Jefferson City.
Yeah.
Like we have a crypto lobbyist right now, but I know this. There's some things happening in D.C. that's part of Stephanie Bell's daily D.C. rundown that we do every morning at 6:25-ish.
Apparently, Biden is going to sign an executive order regulating cryptocurrency. Apparently, there have been concerns raised about Russia's use of cryptocurrency. And so this week, he's expected to do something. And that's, I'm not super up on cryptocurrency either, but government regulation is anti-everything that cryptocurrency folks stand for. And Biden, I don't think really has been that successful on his executive orders. He's gotten slapped down a lot. So I wonder, once the crypto people wake up and start filing lawsuits, how long this regulation would actually last.
You know what? I'd like to know exactly what are the regulations that they want to impose. And I can see regulation of crypto in two regards. One, crypto would be a great place for drug dealers and people doing illicit activities to launder money. I could see possibly a way of regulating it in that way. And also, too, I think it's dangerous when you have a currency that's competing with your currency. Could devalue it, who knows? And maybe there should be some type of regulation with that. But other than that, I like newfangled stuff like this, and let's see where it goes. But I do think it needs to have some regulation on it, especially when it comes to the money laundering aspect.
Let me ask you this. As somebody I know who supports Trump, I also believe you to be a reasonable man. Stephanie and I have been arguing since January 20th of 2021, actually, that we look bad on a worldwide stage. When you're in the presidency and weeks into your presidency, China sits there and tells you to your face, you ain't coming at us from a position of strength anymore. When we have France trying to fix some of our problems with Australia, we don't look good on the worldwide stage anymore. And even things that happen here at home, when you have some of the bigger names in the Democratic Party like Stacey Abrams that won't join you while you're visiting Georgia, you look bad on the worldwide and national stage. But my question to you is this. Chuck Todd, and I know other people now are saying, well, because my contention is, and I feel wholehearted and I feel absolutely comfortable in this statement, Ukraine would not be in this position. Therefore, me this morning, Stephanie this morning, you this morning, anybody paying this outrageous price for gasoline right now, you would not be paying this. You would not be taking this hit to your pocketbook right now if Donald Trump were president. I believe that wholeheartedly. But Chuck Todd, MSNBC's take.
Where swing voters, Trump Biden voters, they seem to buy the idea that Putin wouldn't have done this if Trump were president.
So sometimes I just want to say it's too easy, Chris. I want to say, oh, Chuck, bless your heart. You really don't know what you're talking about. But I'll check myself. Am I being Trump would have done this? I absolutely, and I think a lot of people, even that support Biden, would absolutely believe this would not have happened if Trump
I don't think it would not have happened. And I think Putin's invasion of Ukraine was predicated on our quick and hasty withdrawal from Afghanistan. I think Putin saw that as weak. He saw that NATO didn't have any resolve, and I think that was the impetus for him to do that. And if Trump was president, we would have withdrawn from Afghanistan in a much more uniform or better way than we did with Biden. And I think he just saw that as weakness and said, this is the time to shoot his shot, and did it.
All right, Chris Arps, chrisarps.com, on Red State and on Newsmax TV. Anything else before we let you go?
Newsmax on Thursday, and you were talking about Ethan Zampi with crypto. You know, there is a brick-and-mortar crypto store in St. Louis.
Wow.
So, okay, so see, that confuses me even more. Here's the other thing I don't get, and I got to get going here. I got 30 seconds. Like, I'll see in the business reports, crypto now at $43,000. Well, what does that mean? I can buy $43,000 worth of crypto for 43.
Yeah, is the it's just merch. It's crypto merch. You can wear a crypto shirt. And
it's
crypto
merch,
hat.
but it's also a whole lot of other stuff where they teach you about cryptocurrency. It's very interactive.
Well, Chris, here's what I do know. We respect and we love you, brother. Have a great week.
Thanks, guys. You too.
All right. Coming up, highlights from two big surprising things and very good things, I think, happened at last night's city council meeting. We've got that for you at 7:10 on 93.9 The Eagle.
This is a Fox News alert. Record pain at the pump. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. It's happening in Ukraine, the war there, costing us here. Gas prices up another 11 cents today to a record high. AAA's national average for regular $4.17.
Who's paying the most? Folks in California are paying an average of $5.44, more than $6 a gallon in some cities. The cheapest is Oklahoma with $3.71 a gallon.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. The U.S. is considering banning Russian oil. Shell just said this morning it'll stop buying it and natural gas from Russia and close service stations there.
The White House does not believe that they have any tools to bring down prices by ramping up domestic production. Now, the White House is talking to Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela about how they might be able to step in and help address this crisis.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich. Some Democrats in Congress are critical of relying on those countries, while Republicans demand more domestic drilling as Russia keeps bombarding Ukraine. A strike last night in Sumy killed at least 20 civilians.
This is a continued escalation we are seeing in the cities along the Russian border as thousands of people each and every hour are trying to get out of harm's way.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Kyiv. The UN now says 2 million Ukrainians have left the country, many now in Poland. Fox's Simon Owens live near the border.
And Dave, as millions of people escape Ukraine, others are heading in the other direction. At Przemysl station near the border here, I spoke with Slav, who's joining the resistance.
We return back. We don't afraid of this. Just because of bombing, the civilian people are dying.
He used to be in the Ukrainian army, but was working in Italy when the war broke out.
I'm becoming more calm when I get closer to the border, because as far I was from my country, I was more stressed.
He said he struggled to watch from afar. Dave?
Simon, the U.S. has released Mohammed Ahmad al-Qahtani from Guantanamo, sent him to Saudi Arabia. He was accused of being in on the 9/11 plot. America's listening to Fox News.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
.93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 7:03 right now. We do have some bright sunshine about ready to come into the Columbia area right now. It is pleasant. It is a little chilly right now. We're expecting a high today of around 42 degrees. There is a chance of snow. It looks like the better chance now. It's been moved up a little bit into Thursday, but that will continue overnight into Friday, and the models are still being tweaked a little bit right now. We're looking at least a couple of inches, though, between Thursday and Friday. Be prepared for that. 23 right now in Columbia. It's 22 degrees in Jefferson City. Good morning, everyone, and here are some of the stories that we are working on for you at this hour. Efforts to prevent suicides at Columbia's tallest parking garage are continuing. The city has finished a $489,000 project to install fencing on the top level of the 5th and Walnut parking garage downtown. That opened in 2011. The council last night first read a bill to fund the installation of side window panels. So they've done the fencing. Now the side panels would be done under the plan. Columbia spokesperson Sydney Olson tells 93.9 The Eagle the steel panels would cover the open spots at the garage. Our news partner ABC 17 reports Jonathan White led a recent petition effort last fall for more adequate suicide prevention barriers at the 9-level garage. He had a petition in September. At the time, he noted there had been 8 suicides at the garage, ranging from people in their 20s to early 90s. Staff is recommending that the council approve the installation of the side window panels at the next council meeting this month. It's a $504,000 project. It will be paid for by the general fund. Columbia's mayor has introduced a bill last night providing community memberships to MACC's new state-of-the-art makerspace lab on the business loop. Mayor Brian Treese tells 93.9 The Eagle improving job skills is more important than ever as we pull out of the pandemic.
I mean, think about if you were downsized or maybe just part of that great quit, where you want to go do something else for a change. This is a way that you can scale up. You can take that step with a 3D printer. Maybe you want to invent something.
Mayor Treese and Missouri Governor Mike Parson helping to cut the ribbon on the lab last week. The mayor's proposal also includes $300,000 in funding to provide customized training to Columbia employers over the next 4 years. The money would provide training for about 10 to 20 activities. Those would be training activities each year to the businesses here in the area. Speaking of Mayor Treese, he says Moberly Area Community College provides virtually all of the training and the workforce training for Columbia's successful economic development programs.
You look at Route B with all of the manufacturing at Aurora Dairy, New Swift, Dana Corp, all of those commercial engineers and electricians got their training and their start right here at MAC.
3M and Kraft Heinz also have plants in that area of Columbia. MUPD officers alerting the public that training exercises will be taking place today and Thursday around Mizzou Arena in Columbia. A number of emergency vehicles are in that area. Those vehicles include the bomb squad, as well as MUPD officers and the civil support team. They emphasize, MUPD does, these are exercises. They're requesting you not call 911 about the training unless you're reporting an actual emergency. Training is underway. Started at 6 this morning, goes to 5 today, same hours on Thursday, 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. Authorities reminding you the statewide tornado drill is today across Missouri, including here in mid-Missouri. Starts at 10. Outdoor warning sirens across the state will fire and sound at that time. Anytime the weather is iffy, they don't do it. Today it'll be fine. It'll be a little chilly, but this will happen. It is a go today at 10. Schools, businesses, and families being encouraged to participate in the drill. Schools are being encouraged to use the exercise as an educational tool for students by incorporating tornado facts and safety tips into their lesson plans. Again, statewide tornado drill across the entire state. That will be at 10 o'clock this morning. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you live on this Tuesday morning by the Candy Factory. Any time of the year is a good time for tasty treats and delicious handmade chocolates and candies from the Candy Factory. They're in downtown Columbia. Anniversary and birthday any day. You can find them online, thecandyfactoryonline.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:07. In sports, the Mizzou men's basketball team will be playing in the SEC tournament in Tampa, Florida. They're practicing today. They're already in Florida. Team left yesterday along with the broadcasters, Mike and also Chris, Mike Kelly, Chris Trevino. Mizzou will play tomorrow at 5 o'clock our time. The opponent, Ole Miss. 4:30 the pregame. KCMQ will be your coverage here in mid-Missouri, the Tiger Network affiliate at Zimmer Radio, FM 96.7. And Mike and Chris will take the air tomorrow at 4:30 in the afternoon. And congratulations to Brian Smith of Mizzou. He's been named the Big 12 Wrestling Coach of the Year. Missouri winning the 2022 Big 12 Championships in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They had 131.5 points on Sunday evening. 93.9 The Eagles Sports is brought to you this hour by Missouri Heart Center. Comprehensive cardiovascular care in the heart of Missouri. MoHeartCenter.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:08. All right, Kevin, thanks so much. Right now, we do have clear skies, 23 degrees. Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. Not aware of any major issues right now on the roads here in mid-Missouri. Again, a reminder, we've been mentioning this, but worth reiterating for people just tuning in. Training exercises are underway outside Mizzou Arena. Do not be alarmed by it. There are bomb squad units, quite a few vehicles there, but that is all part of training exercises. They'll be out there all day today until 5, and then also Thursday, 6 in the morning until 5 p.m. We'll have more team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
So I'm going to say this once. We have a lot of public hearings tonight, a lot of material to get through, a lot of agenda to cover. Please refrain from any public demonstrations, no slap, no clapping, cheering, booing, snapping, clicking, whistling. When the public comment period is over, then it is council's turn to have our discussion. And I would appreciate if you show the same decorum that we show to you by listening to you.
One of the things Columbia Mayor Brian Treese has always done, I think, a very good job at is leading meetings and having to be firm and polite at times. By the way, while we're on this, so what is it that he had to kind of stop down and say, hey, listen, no clicking, popping, hissing, booing, whatever it is that y'all do, don't be doing that. What did he have to do that for? I'll have that coming up for you shortly. But while we're at it, can we please, for the love of God, whoever... the jazz hands things in meetings. I get it. We're trying to show our appreciation, but we're trying to make noise. To not be disruptive. Jazz hands are far more disruptive than applause because it's just...
But they're silent.
When was the last time you were at a meeting and someone was doing jazz hands?
Yeah, that's a good point. When was the last time?
You know what is really... I mean, I think you sitting there looking exactly like the Bernie meme is distracting. You were so crabby, whatever meeting that was. Was it the mural meeting and you had your arms crossed?
Oh.
And you had your glasses and you had a crabby face?
The Bernie Sanders meme, yeah, when I was at the county, when they wanted to remove when the Righteous Brothers wanted to remove the murals from the meeting, and I got there and had to be tucked away kind of in a corner. Well, as it turns out, the ABC 17 live stream was right on me the whole time. And
you weren't even wearing a 93.9 The Eagle t-shirt or anything.
But it brings up a good point about like meeting decorum, and Treese was having to kind of give some reminders there. But we've had some issues, with Senate decorum, with the overall issue. But there's like funny rules, like you can't open a newspaper even if you're in the gallery. I think like you can't because you can't have props or something. I mean, there's lots of different rules, and I've seen people kind of get sideways and get gavelled from just something that they're like, what? I can't do this.
Yeah, and again, I think what the mayor's trying to say, and I want to obviously, without knowing exactly what he's referring to, probably a contentious issue, I'm sure. But clearly what has happened over the years, and I would cover those regularly when Darwin Heinman was the mayor, and they would go until midnight. I was down there a couple
midnight
meetings.
Last night.
Yeah, I was down there several meetings. They would go to 2-3 o'clock in the morning occasionally, especially if you had public hearings. That Walgreens debate at Nifong and Forum, my goodness, it got so heated. People got really fired up on that, and there are other land use issues. We haven't had as many of those lately, but the big thing they try to do is try to limit, and they don't want people to be repetitive, but they try to limit it. Stephanie, as far as what you're referring to, I have seen, it doesn't happen very often, but a couple times outbursts in the Missouri House, people up in the gallery start chanting or screaming, and when that happens, they are removed. Yeah. They are removed, and I've seen it happen a couple times.
Those folks got arrested. The preachers got arrested out of the gallery not too long ago. And I think they were
talking about the Medicaid. The Medicaid.
I think so.
That one went to court. I know that when there was an abortion bill, there were people that started yelling. And Elijah Har was presiding. It's probably been about 3 years ago. But yes, they were. I don't know that they were definitely kicked out of the House. So we're probably about 20 to 30 of them. I've seen it happen a few times.
But having been on the other side of that, right? Having to sit on the other side of that with like City of Ashland, and we had some land use things, and people were pretty fired up. And we did have a meeting where people were kind of shouting, in the middle of the meeting, and you're thinking like, I want to have a discussion with you. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to, learn what your concerns are. And, but I also want to get this meeting done and let other people talk as well. And so, it is really frustrating when you're just trying to do the business of the day, and you feel like people have had the opportunity to talk and they're just interrupting just to interrupt.
And when somebody gets to a meeting and stands up and speaks, it's like your girlfriend. She just wants to be heard. They just want to listen. I'm being serious. They just want to be heard. It's like just listen. And so, if you're on the city council up there on the dais, you just go,
Well,
yeah. And every 15 seconds, maybe even remove your glasses for dramatic effect or something. Let them know you're listening. You don't have to really listen, but just, yeah.
Or you could actually try to listen.
Well, and I think, and that's where people get really frustrated, because I've also been the person showing up to the city council meeting and speaking, and it's not a discussion, right? And so a lot of people think, I'm going to get up there and I'm going to say something, and then they're going to have to respond to me. And that's not the purpose of the public meeting. It's more testimony. That's right. And so in general, the folks you're talking to, the elected officials, don't respond at all to you. And then that seems like the boyfriend who doesn't really listen, right? Because they're not responding. But that's not the forum.
What'd she say,
and
Hannah?
so I would really encourage people who, if you want that, no, seriously though.
No, I'm laughing at Brian now.
Seriously, if you want that discussion, because I think a lot of elected officials are open to that discussion, but the public meeting is not that place. Have coffee with your elected official before the meeting, and that's when you can really engage and go back and forth and get your questions answered.
But at the legislative hearings, there is a little bit more back and forth, and especially if it's someone that agrees or disagrees with whatever the speaker is saying, and it could be a fellow lawmaker, but it could be a citizen. There is back and forth. Not as much at the Columbia Council meetings, but I've seen
at school board meetings.
That's true. Yeah. Although we've seen a little back and forth at those two over the years.
That's a very polite way of putting it, Brian. A little back and forth. When the cops come in and arrest you for speaking your mind, a little back and forth. So this is one of the now this wasn't the thing that had the mayor stopping down for a few seconds saying, hey, well, hold your horses. But this is one of the big things last night at the city council meeting that's going to affect a whole bunch of people. This is Chief of Police for the city of Columbia, Jeff Jones, talking about school resource officers.
To establish guidelines for handling of school-related delinquent acts while reducing involvement in the criminal justice system for what is referred to as minor school-based offenses.
So there was folks again. So we'd been without a contract for 2 years between the schools, City of Columbia Police Department to have school resource officers in there, and there you have a faction of people. Well, they're here, it's intimidating, and meanwhile you have people that are trying to give you the facts. And as you heard the police chief state there, listen. This is to help people. Number one, we're building community relationships inside the school hallways. These cops aren't walking around like batons and trying to patrol what's happening in the school. And you heard the chief say it there. Like, listen, if you have a school resource officer in school, think about this. School can be like hockey, like an ice hockey game. And hockey, what we used to love to see, it doesn't happen so much anymore, but you love to see a fight. You love to see a fight break out at a hockey game. Now, try that stuff out on Broadway, 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon. Just try picking a fight with somebody. You'll go to jail. School is like hockey. There are things you can do in school. Criminally, you can get away with it. I'm speaking from my experience. You could have a fight in school, and it would be treated differently than if you got into a fight on the street corner. It's two different things. And what the chief is saying there, and the idea of school resource officers, in my mind, hey, we can interrupt. They like to use that word. Let's interrupt the system. We can interrupt your child going, you talk about the school-to-prison pipeline. Listen, these officers can be in school. They can probably help tamp that down, handle situations in school that might otherwise be handled criminally. We can handle this in school. And maybe, you know what, while we have your kid, and since the school officer or since the police officer has been in that building for a while, maybe has developed a little bit of this relationship with a kid who's been in trouble. And now the officer, he has a pipeline into that kid's head. He can say, hey, Brian, we've had a good relationship, and so you messed up here. And talk to them and sit, and they can have a conversation because they've had a relationship where he can get through where maybe mom and dad can't, because guess who mom and dad is? Mom and dad is authority figures. Guess who the principal is at the school? Your teacher. They're authority figures. But you have a resource officer, if they're in there and doing the job right, and something goes wrong with that kitty, you've got that pipeline in that you've had a relationship with that kid, and you might be able to, that officer might be able to get through to this kid that nobody else could potentially get through to. So we have an agreement on that now.
It's about $375,000 ballpark, and CPS will reimburse as they have before, they will reimburse the essentially the city, the CPD, for that money. So it's coming back from the school district.
So the thing that had the mayor stopping down for a minute.
Clapping, cheering, booing, snapping, clicking, whistling.
Is ARPA. City Councilwoman Pat Fowler, resolution to commit 100% of the American Rescue Plan Act towards funding long-standing inequity. In other words, if you're black, we want to just give you this money because we feel bad about our history. So here's some money. According to the Missourian, the proposed resolution called for all of the federal ARPA funds to be allocated to those who have been impacted harshly by the pandemic. And that is not accurate. I'm not calling that on the part of the Missourian. I'm saying on the part of what I heard at the city council meeting last night. People have been most harshly impacted by the pandemic. The people most harshly impacted by the pandemic, in my mind, are the people whose businesses had boots of the city government put under their throats and snuffed them out of business. Give those people chunks of money, of the ARPA money. That's what it's there for. No, goes down in flames. Was voted down. I was surprised by our city council. I was surprised by this vote. They said no. Betsy Peters, Matt Pitzer, who's here at 7:35, Brian Treese voted against the resolution. Carl Scala voted against it too. Well, that was kind of a surprise. And other people have brought up, hey, what about the front line? How about the people affected by this? How about the front line responders that, you know what? They didn't get a day off. They couldn't work from home. They didn't get to do this stuff. What about those people?
So what happens now?
So now I think they're going to have meetings. It's $25 million.
So it's a little bit more than that, but ballpark, yeah, it's about exactly. And half of it has come in. The other half is coming in shortly if we don't have it, but should be coming in any moment now.
And it's over 4 years.
Over 4 years, $25 million, and they're still developing some plans. Now, I know we talked about Job Point and, some job training and stuff. Some of that is there, but a lot of that is still being worked on as far as some specific details. But the proposal that you just read, very little detail. I mean, it was a one-page, really a one-paragraph, a couple sentences proposal, and wasn't not a whole lot of detail. I think what was significant is staff did not make a recommendation, so staff did not endorse it. Usually they do on these things, but in this case they did not, so the council really was able to vote how they wanted to, and it went down.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fighting because it's a lot of money, and everyone, this is the most important thing. This is the most important thing. So the thing that so it was the ARPA. It was people coming forward. That's when the mayor had to say, "Listen, everybody, settle down," because people coming out talking about why it needs to go to the homeless, and people were coming out and they were giving emotional. And I volunteered at the warming center, and here's what I saw, and all those things are true. They're out there anyway.
Highlighting some special bonus material on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page.
Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle. The world is watching on Facebook Live. Are you?
Good morning at 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:28.
time for What's Hot with Hannah.
Just wanted to really quickly highlight some bonus material we have on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page. I did post the video that you asked me so nicely to post earlier, where you threatened Stephanie with a weapon.
Well, this is why we encourage people to watch Wake Up Columbia. You can go to the YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, search 93.9 The Eagle. You put it up on your smart TV. We had now we've had a couple of people like from, I don't know if they're doctor offices, but they have like waiting lobbies at their place of employment, and they're putting Wake Up Columbia out in the lobby. But the other day, something was going on here behind the scenes, and we didn't know the cameras were on, and I've got some polls in my hand, and Stephanie's trying to tell me what to do. And it's funny because in the video, and there you can't hear what's going on, but it looks like for a slight second, first of all, like I secretly wanted to take a baseball swing at Stephanie because she's in my ears trying to tell me what to do.
Well, and you guys were trying to work together.
Branden does not like being bossed.
No, he doesn't.
This might be part of what didn't work out in your previous relationship.
That's not true.
It is true, and you know it.
And I really like being the boss, so.
Yeah,
that is also true.
And that doesn't work here on the show. City Councilman Matt Pitzer is going to bust up this fight coming up at 7:35.
News. I'm Chris Foster. Gas prices have hit a new all-time high, $4.17 a gallon on average nationwide as of this morning, according to AAA.
That's up 11 cents from yesterday. Last week, the U.S. average was $3.60. Folks in California are paying an average of $5.44. It's more than $6 a gallon in some cities. The cheapest is Oklahoma with $3.71 a gallon.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Oil prices are up now mostly because buyers are avoiding Russian oil because of its invasion of Ukraine. Teachers are on strike in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis Federation of Teachers leaders say they recognize the impact school closures will have on families. Still at the top of their list of demands, caps on class sizes, more mental health resources for students, and a living wage of at least $35,000 a year for educational support staff like special education aides. Consistently, district leaders have said they simply do not have the money.
Hannah Flood with Fox 9 Minneapolis. America's listening to Fox News.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 7:31. We're expecting a nice day here across mid-Missouri. Going to have clear skies, our high around 42. There is a chance of some snow on both Thursday and Friday. It's looking better now that we're going to be getting the snow, and the timing of that has been moved up a little bit, although the models continue to be tweaked. We'll have more on that for you coming up here in just a moment. 24 right now in Columbia. It's 23 degrees in Jefferson City. Good morning, everyone. And here's some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour. MUPD officers are alerting the public that training exercises are underway at this hour. They'll take place as well Thursday around Columbia's Mizzou Arena. You'll notice a number of emergency vehicles in that area.
Those vehicles include Mid-Missouri Bomb Squad units, MUPD officers, and the Civil Support Team. MUPD emphasizes that these are exercises, and they're requesting that you not call 911 about the training unless you're reporting an actual emergency. Training takes place around Mizzou Arena from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. today and Thursday. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
All right, Don, thank you. Meantime, authorities are also reminding you that the statewide tornado drill in Missouri starts this morning at 10. Outdoor warning sirens across the state will be sounding at that time. Schools, businesses, and families all being encouraged to participate in the drill. Columbia City Council last night discussing briefly a new fire station is being proposed in the area of Northeast Columbia around St. Charles Road and East Richland Road. This discussion has been going going on since 2018. It's a $3.2 million project. Money is already paid for. It'd be funded by the capital improvement sales tax. They say this new fire station would service about 1,000 calls annually, also serve as the backup fire company to about 500 additional calls. And Columbia officials say fencing has now been completed on the top level of a downtown parking garage that has seen several suicides since it opened in 2011. City Council approved the $489,000 project for the 5th and Walnut garage in October 2020, but city officials say COVID escalated the cost of materials, especially steel, so the city is working in phases. Now, the fencing has been completed on the top. Council first read a bill last night for the installation of side window panels on the garage. It's a $500,000 project to be paid for by the general fund. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you live this morning by Willett Dental Associates. They practice conscious sedation dentistry. To relax your fears, make an appointment now. 573-445-5300. WillettDentalAssociates.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:34. Turning our attention now to sports, the Mizzou men's basketball team will battle Ole Miss tomorrow afternoon in the SEC tournament. That will be in Tampa, Florida. The Tigers, the 11-20. The game will tip off at 5 o'clock Central Time in Tampa. Catch all of the action on 96.7 KCMQ. Mizzou wrestling. They win the Big 12 championship in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Coach Smith named the Big 12 Coach of the Year. Congratulations to Coach Brian Smith. Our sports is also brought to you this hour by Dr. Kent Willett, Dental Associates. Make an appointment now. Conscious sedation dentistry. WillettDentalAssociates.com. The phone number 573-445-5300. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:35. And our traffic check brought to you by MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com to find a job. Post your job opening today. Roads right now pretty quiet across mid-Missouri. Not aware of any major problems. If we're missing something, let us know. 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes, and we have breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Council Bill 2622 is a policy resolution committing to invest 100% of the city's American Rescue Plan Act funds and providing direct assistance to those most disproportionately impacted by the pandemic.
It's not what it would have done, at least in my mind. One of the folks who voted, by the way, it failed. I was kind of surprised by this vote. You had Pat Fowler, this according to the Missourian. This proposed resolution called for all of the federal ARPA funds to be allocated to those who have been impacted harshly by the pandemic. And that's BS. I'm thinking of first responders. I'm thinking of people who lost businesses during this thing. And in my mind, what Pat was like, well, we just want to give it to black people here in town. Here, you just take this money and things will get better. One of the folks who voted against it and successfully defeating this, City Councilman Matt Pitzer, 5th Ward, joining us now. What was your reason for voting against this, Mr. Pitzer?
You know, we have had a lot of talks over the last 9 to 12 months since it was clear that this funding was coming about how to go about making decisions on this. And we kind of arrived at, not a great spot in my mind, but probably the best we could do, I guess. In terms of allocating the first half of it, we've made, a decision to for community violence, for homeless services, for mental health services, for some workforce development. And then we decided on the second half of it, we were going to go through this process of, engaging with the public, having sort of a community conversation about, some priorities. And so that's what I thought we were doing. And then Council Members Fowler and Thomas introduced this resolution a couple of weeks ago saying, no, they didn't want to do that, that this was, how they wanted to allocate the funding. And I didn't think that was consistent with what we had all made a decision to do.
So, and I don't think it's consistent with intelligent thinking either. So it wasn't consistent with what had previously been said. And this idea that we're going to take taxpayer money and just give it to people based on the color of their skin, I think is just inherently stupid. Pat Fowler, this is my mind. You don't have to say anything, Matt. That woman likes to hear herself talk. I'm not kidding. Well, and just one example. Last night, they're talking about this school resource officer thing, which I want to ask you about. And Chief Jeff Jones is up there, and she's asking the chief of police for the city of Columbia about some of these security protocols in the schools and who's doing what in the schools. And Jeff, the Chief Jones, well, you'll need to ask the school that. You need to ask the school that. Well, you need to ask the school that. And she's peppering him with questions like he's like Stephanie Bell's got him on the witness stand or something, man. It was crazy in my mind. School resource officer, I think this was another one that a lot of people out there trying to improperly say, well, put officers in school and it's intimidating to folks. But you guys are approving this. What was the discussion surrounding the passage of the approval of this contract with the police department for some of the high schools?
Yeah, there was some discussion about having the police officers in the schools. I think for me, having the chief of police say this is what we should do, having the superintendent of the school saying yes, this is what we think we should do, having the principals of the schools saying, yes, this is something we should do, having, former school resource officers saying, yes, this is something we should do. I think that's pretty, compelling testimony in my mind in terms of, providing benefits and safety for the students.
Well, the other thing that struck me as odd is one of the questions from Councilwoman Fowler last night was, well, did you include the stakeholders in on this conversation? Her mind being the stakeholders, the kids. No, and you know what else I didn't include my kid in on conversations? When me and his mom would go out of town and say, Trevor, so your aunt is coming and staying for the week, but would you like some input? I didn't offer him that opportunity because you know what he'd say? He'd say, I'd prefer to stay here by myself for the week because I am 16. I can drive and I can party. That was his input. You know what? You don't get any input. Fifth Ward City Councilman Matt Pitzer, City of Columbia, joining us on 93.9. The Eagle, by the way, is Wake Up Columbia. Stephanie, Brian, Hannah, I'm Branden.
Branden, thanks so much. Councilman, thanks so much for joining us. I have a quick question about a report read at the end of the meeting. As you know, the city actually does not track the number of suicides at the 5th and Walnut Garage. They've tracked by death. So, for instance, if someone has a heart attack on the sidewalk, we don't know exactly how many suicides have taken place. One's petition says about 8 since 2011, and that's from Jonathan White. That seems to be accurate. But they did read a report. The fencing has been completed on the top of that garage. It's about 8 feet tall. I'll have a picture up shortly on the website. The proposal that was first read last night basically would install side window panels on the side of the garage. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, this is something that we actually talked about a while ago, and I think the bill that you're referencing is actually getting around to the work of finally doing that. But we had quite a conversation. Like I said, I want to say it was more than a year ago about, the fencing and then also the windows. And then they had to go through this whole process of designing something that actually fit like the open panels there and all that, and still allowed like some airflow to go through and all kinds of things. So I think it was a pretty extensive design process to get to this point where we can go ahead and install that. But, I mean, it seems reasonable. I mean, that garage kind of has gotten a reputation of, being, susceptible to people who might be having some sort of, mental health crisis. And, if there are things that we can do to sort of, take away the immediacy of that sort of access where somebody could harm themselves, I think it's beneficial.
Recently, we talked to the city manager about this new portal that the city has put into place, Be Heard Como. I was wondering what are, as a council person, like what access are you being given to the portal? Are you getting a digest of anybody who, submits something through the portal? How are you seeing those things?
Yeah, I got a report Thursday or Friday, kind of everything that had been on there to date. And so we'll see. I think, the initial uptake, wasn't all that great. But hopefully, maybe it becomes something that can be used a little more heavily, especially if there's something, that's sort of has a lot of public interest, and people want, an easy way to comment, and then there's an easy way for us to, get all that in a summary. So this was kind of like a trial and error thing. Let's see what it does, how it works, and see if there's a benefit in going forward with it. So it's still early on that, but I would say, when there's something with a lot of interest, if we get that out there, that would probably be a test for how, useful it is.
Fifth Ward City Councilman Matt Pitzer joining us on the show. I appreciate you joining us this morning because I know this meeting only ended, 7 hours ago? It was a long, monstrous meeting last night. Anything else that you want to add that citizens in Columbia might need to know right now?
No. I mean, that was, the two things around ARPA and then the school resource officers. That's what took up most of the meeting. And, so I'm glad that we reached the decisions that we did. I think they're the best for the community. And I just look forward to moving from here.
And let me ask you this before we let you go. I got to make sure you get my back on this because Hannah and Stephanie always laugh at me anytime I mention and then look into the cameras on our YouTube channel on 93.9 The Eagle and mention that I've been to the gym. Where outside of any professional, events, chamber events, city council meetings, things like that, where do you and I encounter each other the most, Mr. Pitzer?
We both look out of place there at the gym, don't we? Everyone else is like, what are those guys? They've never been in here before.
Matt Pitzer, thanks, man. Appreciate it. See, he's got my back. Jim. See him there all the time while I'm watching the TV on the bike, man. Coming up, we can do a couple of things. We could go pole dancing. This is a weird pole.
No, go ahead. Go ahead and finish.
It has to do with people. See, we got to do everything's broken up by political parties, and it's getting worse. This number of Democrats believe this. This number of Republicans believe in this thing and this thing. They believe that the sixth is related, and it's crazy. But the latest one, it would be most likely to stay and fight. Like if something was happening in Ukraine right now, what if this happened in the U.S.? So they asked by political party, would you run? Or would you stay and fight? And I don't even know if it's worth. So a couple of odd things about that. Number one, is it worth doing the poll? I think we already know the answer to who would stay.
Well, I'm chomping at the bit over here to tell a story about something that happened this morning.
Let's do that instead, because this is just crazy.
Steph is dying to hear it.
All right. So something happened this morning, and the lesson for all of us.
Mostly you. Uh-huh.
Hi, this is the voice of the Tigers, Mike Kelly. This is Wake Up Columbia on Hot Talk 93.9. The Eagle. Branden, Rathert. I don't know any Rathert.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
An executive order his
Peter,
first week that halted new oil and gas.
Who's that sound like? Off the air.
It could sound like either one of you, really.
It could sound like Stephanie and I behind the scenes. Now, we mentioned that there's a breaking development right now as it relates to Russia, and it has to do with something Biden is apparently going to do today, according to the Associated Press. Reporting that Biden is going to ban Russian oil imports because of what's happening in Ukraine. So today, right now, gas prices in Missouri, average gas price is up. Just in Missouri, is up 11 cents over yesterday, according to AAA gas prices. Boone County, right now, according to the AAA map, one of the highest prices in Missouri for counties, for the average county price. To give you an idea, we're up $1.20 a gallon per year ago. So in other words,
I'm feeling it.
Yep. So you think of the math on that, and we understand what's going on with Ukraine and Russia and gas prices. If Biden follows through with this, according to the AP, he's going to ban Russian oil imports.
Hannah has posted something on the Facebook page. It's like, put up your GIF about how you're feeling about gas prices, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty fun. But I'm thinking in just emojis. I went from like the full crying emoji to just the skull emoji, I think.
Yeah.
Just dead.
I know in the next couple days I'm going to have to fill up, and I'm really regretting it.
There is a story, and I don't know if we'll have time to get to it.
Probably not.
But there's apparently even more and more people that make over $100,000 a year. Study finds almost half of Americans making over $100,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck. And I think of what's happening with Hannah and a lot of our friends here in mid-Missouri, business owners that have been calling here on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle and saying, listen, I go through maybe 22 gallons of fuel a week. So I look at how it affects me compared to a year ago. I'm paying $1.20 a gallon, $2.40, $2.50. So that's at least, well, I can't do the math, but you know it adds up. And I think of these people. I mean, we're talking on some
We're spending like $500 at least a month on gas.
So if your gas is going up, besides your groceries and home heating costs, everything else, just looking at gasoline, if your fuel costs are going up, $50, $75 a month, did your boss come to you and say, hey, don't worry about it, I'm giving you a pay raise of $75? It's not happening. It's just not happening. Fox will have more on this coming up right here at 8 o'clock on 93.9 The Eagle. Then right after that, as it relates to fuel prices separately. So besides what we had happen on January 20th of 2021, what happened on that day, January 20th, 2021, and then what happened towards the latter part of last year with this gas tax in Missouri, 2.5 cents per gallon. Pay for transportation projects. Sara Walsh, local state representative whose district has just moved over quite a bit. Steph and I got to talking about this yesterday, and I was looking at that 50th district map. It's not a small. A lot of times when these districts change, there's small changes or a noticeable change. I'd call this a significant change.
Yeah, really significant. I mean, my state rep will change a lot of folks. I mean, the whole city of Ashland is in a different district. I actually printed out the map in color to bring it in so we could post it up because it has changed so substantially. I have to really think about it, and we're gonna have one.
All right.
We should post it on the Facebook page, too, for folks to see.
We should. By the way, one of the cool things Hannah has posted on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
An executive order his
Peter,
first week that halted.
I love it when Peter and Jen get into it at the White House. By the way, they are really good friends. They have great affection for each other all the time. But, it's that professional relationship, and you have to deal with somebody, and you kind of like them, but you still have to. Reminds me of me and Steph.
And you and Hannah, I heard you were trying to lie to her this morning.
You did.
Which you have tried to do to me in the past.
I caught him in the middle of a lie, Steph, and he couldn't even deny it.
Oh, Branden.
So it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. Our desks are right by each other. And I said, hey, Branden, were you by chance able to access the document that I emailed you last week? And he went, oh, no, I wasn't. I said, okay. And I got up, I went to grab something. I came back and I said, did you even try to access the document that I emailed you? And he looks at me and he goes, no. I was like, I busted you. And he just thought it was hilarious for whatever reason. He laughed for a long time about that.
Well, it was the kid in the cookie jar moment. My hand was in the cookie jar because I told Hannah, I thought, well, I wasn't being untruthful. She says, were you able to open this document? And I said, no. And then and I'm surprised it took her so long. But eventually it occurred to her, I should probably ask, did you even try?
And you were speechless for a second.
It did. My hand was in the cookie jar. Did you even try?
And I was like, I know you better than that, Branden. Come on.
So Hannah has posted video of me and Steph fighting in the studio last week. This was off air. We were doing something. She's trying to tell me what. So it's funny because I'm actually pointing this weapon at her. But there's a moment before that, like it looks like. Did you notice? It looks like just a slight second. I wanted to take a baseball swing at you.
Listen, I'm just glad that there's a big glass window between us because I'm safe over here.
Check it out on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page. State Representative Sara Walsh also running for that 4th Congressional District seat currently held by Hartzler. She's here at 8:10. Solid idea, solid foundation to this idea to get rid of this new gas tax. She's here at 8:10. Good morning. I'm Branden Rathert for Atterbury Auction and Realty Company. Here's the website, AtterburySells.com, and that is A-T-T-E-R, Berry, B-E-R-R, well, like Berry, AtterburySells.com. And if I were you, here's why I would get on there. And you might be thinking, well, I'm not into auctions and all this stuff. Man, you've got to check out some of the things that are on here, and here's the best part. It has changed my mind. It has changed my understanding of how these auctions are working a lot nowadays. Because right now, you can see some great properties, and these are part of online auctions. One I've been really excited about is a condo, Country Club of Missouri, on the golf course. Online bidding ends April the 7th. Everything you need to know about this property is on the website for AtterburySells.com. So what you go and you do your homework, and then kind of from the privacy of your phone or your office, you just go and bid. AtterburySells.com.
We've never paid this much for gas. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. As Russia's war in Ukraine keeps lifting oil and gasoline prices, AAA's national average for regular is $4.17 per gallon, a record high. Diesel's near an all-time high as well.
When truckers pay more, carriers don't eat that cost. Instead, it gets passed down to your supermarkets, your retailers, auto manufacturers, and ultimately that hits consumers at the stores.
Fox Business Network's Kelly O'Grady at a station in L.A. where gas is over $6 a gallon. Next hour, we'll hear from President Biden, who will announce more punishment for Russia. The U.S. is considering a ban on oil from there, which many lawmakers in both parties want. Republican Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rogers tells Fox,
America has abundant energy resources. We need to unleash American energy to help families, to help our economy.
Russia keeps bombing Ukraine. A strike last night in Sumy killed at least 20 civilians. The UN reports 2 million people have fled that country. Secretary of State Antony Blinken.
We continue to call on Russia to allow for humanitarian access on the ground, both for supplies for people who've been cut off from food, from water, from medicine.
He's in Estonia, another NATO ally. A few hundred accused Capitol rioters have pleaded guilty. But a federal jury will start deliberating today in the first trial stemming from the attack. Fox's Tanya J. Powers live on the case.
David Guy Wesley Rathert is facing 5 felonies, charges that he stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021 with a handgun strapped to his waist and interfered with police officers who were guarding the doors of the Senate. Rathert did not testify, and his attorney did not call any defense witnesses, saying during closing arguments that his client should only be convicted of a misdemeanor charge of entering and remaining in a restricted area. Rathert is also charged with threatening his teenage children if they reported him to law enforcement after the Capitol riot. Dave.
Tony, they'll start to pick a jury today to put 4 men on trial in Michigan accused of plotting to kidnap Governor Whitmer. Angry over the Democrats' COVID restrictions, 2 others have pleaded guilty. America's listening to Fox News.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. Our news brought to you this hour by the Callaway Bank. We're expecting a high today of around 42 degrees. Beautiful morning right now. Our sunrise was at 6:31. It will set at 6:09. Again, 42 for a high. It's going to be chilly again tonight and tomorrow. Chilly again. Snow in the forecast for Thursday. They've moved it up a little bit. Looks like closer to Thursday, but through Friday morning right now, temperatures are still going to continue to drop, and they're still tweaking the models right now. Looks like at least a couple of inches of snow. We'll keep you posted on that as we get better ideas from the National Weather Service and also Kevin Schneider. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour. MUPD officers are alerting the public that training exercises will be taking place all day today and Thursday around Mizzou Arena in Columbia.
Those vehicles include Mid-Missouri Bomb Squad units, MUPD officers, and the Civil Support Team. MUPD emphasizes that these are exercises, and they're requesting that you not call 911 about the training unless you're reporting an actual emergency. Training takes place around Mizzou Arena from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. today and Thursday. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
Meantime, efforts to prevent suicides at Columbia's tallest parking garage are continuing. The city has finished a $489,000 project installing fencing on the top level of the 5th and Walnut parking garage. The council also first reading a bill to fund the installation of side window panels. Columbia's Sydney Olson tells 93.9 The Eagle steel panels would cover the open spots on the garage. There was a petition back in September, you'll recall, for more adequate suicide prevention barriers at the 9-level garage. Jonathan White had that September petition. He noted at the time there had been 8 suicides as of September, ranging from people in their 20s to their early 90s. Staff is recommending the council approve the installation of the side window panels at their next meeting. It's a $504,000 project to be paid for by the general fund. We have more on this, including a picture of this garage and the new fencing. 93.9theeagle.com. Columbia's Mayor mayor has introduced a bill that would provide community memberships to MACC's new state-of-the-art makerspace lab on the Business Loop. That is MACC's campus here in Columbia. Mayor Brian Treese tells 93.9 The Eagle that improving job skills is more important now than ever as we pull out of the pandemic.
I mean, think about if you were downsized or maybe just part of that great quit, where you want to go do something else for a change. This is a way that you can scale up. You can take that step with a 3D printer. Maybe you want to invent something.
The mayor and the governor helped cutting the ribbon on the lab last week. The mayor's proposal also includes about $300,000 in funding to provide training to Columbia employers over the next 4 years. The money would provide anywhere from 10 to 20 training activities each year for the businesses. And speaking of the businesses and the training, Mayor Treese says MACC provides virtually all of the workforce training for Columbia's successful economic development.
You look at Route B with all of the manufacturing at Aurora Dairy, New Swift, Dana Corp, all of those commercial engineers and electricians got their training and their start right here at MAC.
And 3M also has a plant in that area of Columbia. And authorities also reminding you the statewide tornado drill is today at 10 o'clock this morning. Outdoor warning sirens across the state will sound at that time. Schools, businesses, families being encouraged to participate in the drill. Schools are encouraged to use the exercise as an educational tool for students by incorporating tornado facts and safety tips into their lesson plans. 93.9 The Eagle News Time is brought to you by the Callaway Bank. 7 days a week, they have a dedicated customer care team. They get you the help you need and deserve. The Callaway Bank, it's with you for the moments that matter. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:07. In sports, let's start with the men's NCAA basketball tournament. It'll start in Tampa. Mizzou on the road, of course. Not really a road game, if you will, but it is going to be on the road to a certain extent. They'll be playing in Tampa. Their opponent will be a pretty good team, Ole Miss, and that team will be coming up tomorrow night. 5 o'clock is the actual tip-off our time, 4:30, the pregame coverage, KCMQ 96.7. You can catch all of the action. Mike Kelly and Chris Trevino already in Florida. They'll have the call for you, and that'll be coming up tomorrow afternoon. If Mizzou wins, they'll get LSU the following day. And in wrestling, Brian Smith named the Big 12 Coach of the Year. The University of Missouri wrestling team capturing the Big 12 championships in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Congratulations to Coach Smith. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:08. All right, Kevin, thank you. Great work as always this morning. Television and radio. Right now we do have partly cloudy, we'll call it partly clear skies, 27 degrees. Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Find a job or post your job opening today. Roads have been pretty quiet here in mid-Missouri. If you want to report a traffic issue, our number is 573-874-9390. You can call that number or text us. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. We have breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
There's no reason why we can't open up American production and get all the energy that we need right here. You know, energy, as Putin has shown us, is a weapon. And it's unfortunate that the Biden administration is unilaterally disarming the United States of America and denying us that weapon.
Of course, Fox News and the Associated Press reporting really within the past 15, 20 minutes or so, Biden apparently going to announce today he's going to impose sanctions against Russia as it relates to oil. We've gotten, listen, everybody here on the show, me and Brian and Hannah, the producer, I think Stephanie could care less, but the three of us here on the show, we feel for you. I'm serious. We do, because I know it's not just fuel, it's home heating. I'm buying shrimp because right now shrimp is cheaper than ground beef. I was supposed to be in Idaho tomorrow, but plane tickets skyrocketed. Tickets that I typically buy between $600 and $800 as of Friday, $3,000.
And you're thinking, I don't feel this. I'm supposed to drive to Disney this month. Drive to Disney.
Wow. Oh, my whole trip to Disney is going to be a little bit more expensive. No, we're kidding. But everybody is feeling it. And so we're being serious, like, we know. We get it. I have a friend of mine, and he's pretty well off. Like, this dude's so well off, like, when he's filling up his gas tank now, like, he fills it all the way up. Like, he's rich, man. You know, and people like me, I'm only filling it up halfway. This dude, he's filling it up all the way. But we've got a bunch of things working against us. Number one, we can look at what happened January 20th of 2021. And we can look at what's happened then. And then in October of 2021, a gas tax in Missouri passed, trying to do something about that. And now, obviously, with Russia and Ukraine, what's happening there? Right now, gas prices in Missouri, according to AAA, up 11 cents overnight. Current at $3.73 is just the average statewide.
Come on, man. It's a Tuesday. No one wants to hear this news.
No. Well,
So
and we're trying to do something about it. State Representative Sara Walsh is joining us here on the show, obviously also running for the 4th Congressional District seat currently held by Congresswoman Hartzler, who's running for Senator Roy Blunt's seat. We're going to be playing dominoes until August and then until November. So what is your plan to get rid of this 2.5-cent gas tax, 2.5-cent per gallon gas tax?
Well, good morning, Branden. Well, what my plan is, so I was a no on that last session. My plan this session was to file House Bill 1594 that repealed the gas tax increase that was passed last session. And then I've got a rally scheduled here at the Capitol on the first floor tomorrow, March 9th, with Americans for Prosperity. And I'm scheduled to speak as well as Senator Mike Moon, who introduced a similar bill in the Missouri Senate, as well as Missouri House Budget Chair Cody Smith.
Cody Smith, Mike Moon is going to be there. Let me ask you, so then...
And Jeremy Cady from Americans for Prosperity.
And so your plan, obviously, folks are saying, okay, so where does money come from? And your idea has been, hey, whether we like it or not, we're getting a whole bunch of money from the federal government. We can take that money and use that to replace this gas tax. Let me ask you this. It's a great idea. Are you getting the same reception within the Capitol building that you're getting from your constituents? I think everybody that I know of, this is one of those rare things. Matter of fact, I spoke with your cohort via email, Rachel Prouty, and she's like, yeah, I'm behind this. I think everybody wants to do away with this. What about where it matters, in the sausage-making machine underneath that dome there in Jefferson City? Are you getting universal appeal for this?
Well, here's the thing, is that one thing I've been telling conservatives is that we're lobbied generally by the left-wing groups down here at the Capitol. Conservatives are generally home working, running their businesses. They're usually not down here. They occasionally will send an email, but honestly, most of the time, in my experience from being here in 2017, the last, several years, is that, we get our inboxes flooded with emails from the left. When conservative grassroots folks show up and say, listen, this is something that we feel strongly opposed to. This is something where, there are the revenues available to handle this, and let's give everybody a break. And also the question that this was arguably unconstitutional under the Hancock Amendment. So why are we, why did we pass this? We've got revenues. So regardless of which exactly side of the fence folks are on, this is, again, let's provide a little bit of relief at the pumps. This is something we've got in our hands, under our control, and so let's do it. And so the rally is important. And then for folks who can't attend, for them just to email the representative and say, hey, I support repealing this gas tax increase at this time.
Sara Walsh, State Representative, 50th District, joining us, talking about this rally tomorrow. So the idea being people show up for these things. It catches the attention inside the Capitol building in Jefferson City when they see the passion, see the number of people. They're like, hey, there's a lot of support for this. So I hope a lot of people will see a lot of people that can make this happen, i.e. our publicly elected servants can make this happen. Tomorrow, Capitol building, what time does this all start, Sarah?
3 p.m., first floor rotunda, tomorrow, Wednesday, March 9th. Again, a rally to repeal the gas tax, to support my House Bill 1594, as well as the House bill, or the Senate bill, rather, that Senator Mike Moon is carrying the Senate to do similar things. Mine, though, is on the House floor calendar. My understanding is the Senate bill hasn't really moved much or moved at all through the process. So this would be the bill that's moving, and, see if we can get it over to the Senate and then kind of take the argument there.
Now, there's also some other legislation pending on the gas tax, like a gas tax holiday bill. Are you talking to folks about other ways to try to alleviate the high gas prices?
There are a number of other ideas as well from representatives. Again, many representatives are hearing from their constituents. And, I mean, every single time we fill up, Branden said a few minutes ago that he doesn't fill his tank up all the way. Well, I do, because it keeps going up every day, and we don't know when the end of this will be. If you don't fill it up at the lower price, quote unquote, it's going to be, who knows, maybe, over whenever it's going to stop. So I think that it's important that we do, try to support any of these various measures and consider these as we move forward. But this is a pretty simple bill. Mine just completely undoes that increase. It doesn't get rid of the whole gas tax, of course. It just gets rid of that increase that, like I said, I believe is unconstitutional. Also, we've got the revenues at this time to handle that.
Representative, thanks so much for joining us. Two very quick questions. You mentioned on the calendar, have you heard from Speaker Vescovo when your bill would come up perhaps for floor debate?
So the decision would be a floor leader decision. The speaker did refer it to committee and did put it on the calendar. So Speaker Rob Vescovo was supportive of my bill. In fact, I spoke with him, as I shared on your program before, before I even filed the bill, and he was not a fan of the gas tax. And so being able to, have that on the floor calendar, now it's just up to basically bringing it up for debate on the floor.
And then one final question. As you know, there were 268 pages just of written testimony on your bill. A lot of support, obviously, across the state, but there was some opposition. One gentleman who wrote in, I don't know who this gentleman is. His name is Michael Erdman, Erdtmann. I'll just read a sentence of what he says in this written testimony, Representative. He says, repealing SB 262 would be a colossal mistake for Missouri and its constituents. It would remove any opportunity for needed maintenance and economic benefits that come with improved infrastructure. How do you respond to something like that?
Well, a couple of things. One is most of those talking points were kind of cut and pasted from a lot of the, folks that were opposed, to changing this and that had pushed for this to begin with last session. Some of these types of groups were, like I said, I've mentioned many times before, have said things like, we don't care if this goes, we don't want this to go on the ballot because people are going to say no, but we want this to be, we want to push this through anyway. But specifically, so it didn't repeal the whole bill. It didn't, 262 had a bunch of other stuff on it too. It just repealed the gas tax increase, so to clarify that. But to get at the heart of what the person is saying is that, again, I've been in conversations with the House budget chair. He has said that we've got the revenues to do this. So this isn't, getting rid of, road, improvements and various types of things. It's just using revenues that we have available as opposed to, taxing the folks, with this additional unconstitutional amount that was passed. Because if the legislature could have passed, I think around 2 cents is what, would have still been under Hancock. But instead, they went for 2.5 cents a year over the next 5 years for a total of 12.5 cents, which that's where even the Show Me Institute, if you look through those testimony forms, they're nonprofits, so they don't testify for or against, but they urged us to take a deeper look at this because they were for the gas tax to begin with, but not when it they've kind of got some reservations when it got to the point to where it potentially violated Hancock.
3 o'clock tomorrow, Capitol, Jefferson City, first floor. If you don't like this 2.5 cent sales, 2.5 cent per gallon gas tax, Sara Walsh has a solid plan to get rid of this. Let's hope she can get folks on board tomorrow. Anything else you'd like to add before we let you go, Sara?
Nope, just have a great day.
Thank you so much. By the way, I'm being incredibly facetious when I say this. If you're looking for something fun to do, get onto the Missouri Department of Revenue website and look at all the stipulations in place, because you can get, and here's the
those
thing.
aren't stipulations, those are FAQs, Branden. Those are each way how you can screw it up.
Yes, I love that. It's not stipulation, it's an FAQ. The things you have to do to even if you're trying to get a refund, and I brought in my fuel tax receipts that I've been
You're not going to be able to say, like, my dog ate my homework. That one looks like it got chewed on.
Yeah, and that's when these gas stations, when they do, a lot of times they're running out of receipt paper. They don't have paper because I'm assuming more and more people are getting gas tax receipts. And here's the other thing. I'm going to go a little deep here, a little conspiracy theory. Glenn Beck is here at noon today. But I bet these gas stations, and by the way, bless these local manufacturers, these local folks that are trying to sell fuel. They make very little money on gasoline anyway, and I feel bad when you talk about the local folks that are affected by this. But I bet some of these gas stations, they're charging us extra for all that receipt paper being used. Like they're tacking on a couple cents per gallon.
See, my conspiracy theory is actually there's like lots of data out there about how receipt paper is toxic. I'm serious. Like when I was pregnant, they were like, don't touch receipts. And I didn't. I'd be like, nope, keep it. Now you've been exposed to all of this receipt toxicity.
3 o'clock tomorrow, Capitol. If you want to get involved. By the way, when I hear some of these stories, Ben, who's in the ag industry, he's got a combine, 350 gallons. Says he burns about 10 gallons per hour. Dwayne, just between fuel and daycare last month, man, $2,000. Wow. Tim, it costs as much to run your car full as it does empty. Just kidding around when I said I know a guy so rich he fills his gas tank all the way up. All right, let's move forward. Coming up, we're going to be doing the Morning Bell with Stephanie Bell. And by the way, Clayton Eshard, former Mizzou football player, who's been on The Bachelor. I've been on this thing every night for the past few months.
Wow, I didn't know that about you.
I know who's getting roses. I know who ain't getting off the island. I know who's getting fired. I know all that stuff. We might actually look at that coming up here at 8:35. And also, the big Country Music Awards show was last night.
Yes, the ACMs. Well, Apple's having an event today, too, so we'll be on that as well.
All right, it's coming up. Morning Bell. Do that 8:26 here on 93.9 The Eagle. Good morning.
Hi, this is Henry, and I'm Brandon's dad. My favorite show on 93.9 The Eagle is The Gary Nolan Show.
Good morning, 8:28. Time for the Morning Bell Business News with that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you.
We are just hours away from Apple's latest event. I think it will be streaming, but typically they announce like new, fancy, shiny products. And this one's a little bit different. They're not debuting any brand new product or anything like that. They're basically debuting an existing phone. I think it's called the SE, which I think there's already an SE phone, but it's a low-end iPhone. This one is a little bit better. It's supposed to have 5G service. But I think that's really interesting because Apple is always kind of on the forefront, and I feel like they're always ahead of me. They're always one step ahead of me, for sure. And I think they see what's happening with the economy, and they see that we're being squeezed with inflation. They see that we don't have, we're spending all of our money on gas, and they're thinking we still need to make a profit. How do we do that? People aren't going to be able to go out and buy a new $2,500 iPhone. So instead, I think the price point on this new SE model is like $399. And so I think it's really fascinating that they're having one of their big Apple events, and they're basically debuting like the Aldi version of their, like the generic brand of their own product, right?
I'm just envisioning, seriously, as I'm looking at my phone, I'm proud of this thing. This Droid's 5 years old.
Yeah, and no hate on Aldi. I love me some Aldi, but yeah, I think it's interesting, and I think it's just a sign of the times.
Hey, coming up, man, our heart goes out to former Mizzou football player Clayton Eshard. How come? We'll find out at 8:35 here on 93.9 The Eagle.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Chris Foster. President Biden has decided to ban Russian oil imports, Fox confirms, as more punishment for the military invasion of Ukraine. He speaks at 10:45 Eastern. Buyers already avoiding Russian oil is driving gas prices higher, up 11 cents a gallon from just yesterday.
AAA says the national average of a gallon of regular gas is now the highest in U.S. history. As of this morning, it'll run you an average of $4.17 a gallon to fill up. Diesel vehicle owners don't have it any easier. The average for a gallon is $4.75, just shy of the $4.84 a gallon record high from July 2008.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. The invasion of Ukraine is in its 13th day. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky sent out a video message from his office in the capital, Kyiv.
I don't hide, and I'm not afraid of anyone. I will stay here as long as it's necessary to win in our patriotic war.
America's listening to Fox News.
.939 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is sunny right now, 28 in Columbia. It's 26 degrees in Jefferson City. We are expecting a chilly day today, a high of around 42 degrees and a chance of snow now Thursday into Friday. Again, the temperature's continuing to be tweaked a little bit right now. Hard to give you an exact amount. We're looking, though, at a couple of inches at least of snow Thursday, primarily Thursday, but that'll continue well into Friday. We'll keep you posted on that. We should have more from the National Weather Service, Kevin Schneider, tomorrow morning on that for sure on Wednesday afternoon. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories that we're working on for you at this hour. MUPD officers alerting the public that training exercises will take place all day today and Thursday around Mizzou Arena in Columbia. A lot of emergency vehicles are in that area.
Those vehicles include Mid-Missouri Bomb Squad units, MUPD officers, and the Civil Support Team. MUPD emphasizes that these are exercises, and they're requesting that you not call 911 about the training unless you're reporting an actual emergency. Training takes place around Mizzou Arena from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. today and Thursday. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
All right, Don, thank you. Authorities, meantime, reminding you as well that the statewide tornado drill in Missouri is set to begin today at 10 a.m. Outdoor warning sirens across the state will sound at that time. Schools, businesses, families being encouraged to participate in the drill. Columbia officials say fencing has been completed on the top level of a downtown parking garage that has seen several suicides since 2011. City Council approving a $489,000 project for the 5th and Walnut Garage in October 2020. City officials say COVID escalated the cost of materials, especially steel components. And Columbia's mayor has introduced a proposal to provide $500,000 in community memberships to MACC's new state-of-the-art lab on the business loop. Mayor Brian Tree says there's lots of potential.
So that everybody in Columbia has access to a membership here at this Mac Lab makerspace, so that they can take that next step.
City Council first read the bill at Monday night's meeting. Another part of the proposal would provide scholarships to CPS students to participate in career and technical education programs offered by MACC. The mayor also says Moberly Community College plays a key role in local job creation with all the businesses up and down Route B, which is also called Paris Road. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this hour by Hemi Construction. Homes and lots in the southwest neighborhoods of Chapel Hill Meadows, Nursery Heights, Creek's Edge, and Timber Brook. That is Hemi Construction. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 8:34. In sports, the Mizzou men's basketball team will be battling Ole Miss tomorrow afternoon in the SEC tournament. Tigers coming in with a record of 11-20. Game tips off at Central Time in Tampa, 5 p.m. That'll be 6 o'clock in Florida. 4:30, the pregame KCMQ, FM 96.7. Hopefully the Tigers can win that ball game tomorrow. If they do win, they would take on LSU the following day. And again, that game will be tomorrow at 5. Also, congratulations to the Mizzou wrestling coach, Brian Smith. He is the Big 12 wrestling coach of the year. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:35. Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. Midmohires.com. Find a job. Post your job opening today. Right now, roads are pretty quiet across mid-Missouri. If you do want to report a traffic issue, call or text us, 573-874-9390. We'll have more team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
I'm falling in love with all 3 of these women. I mean, that's scary, but it's also like really exciting.
I'm so all in with Clayton. I can see myself having a family with him. Oh my God, this is so cool.
When I'm with Susie, I feel like I really have found something truly special. It's no longer about me falling in love with you. Like, I am in love with you.
Clayton truly sees me like no one else ever has.
Oh my gosh.
He's so kind. He makes me laugh.
Rachel has changed my outlook on how a relationship should be.
Man, he's in love with 3 women. Clayton Eshard, former Mizzou football player.
You know, he was. I don't have a really good recollection of a lot of what he did at Mizzou. I mean, I know he played, and I obviously remember reporting and using his name a couple times, but I don't remember much about it. And I had seen, I think, Dave Matter report, and my former friend and current friend, but former colleague Zara Barker, who's now at Channel 17. He's from Eureka, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Eureka. And was aware that he was going to be on. I haven't seen the show, but it's amazing to me that someone's in love with 3 women. But I guess apparently doesn't that normally happen though? I mean, on the show.
See, Brian has never watched an episode of this stuff, and he knows what it is.
Because my mother, God bless my mother, poor mother with dementia, she enjoys the show. She does. She really does. And has seen it, but I believe they pick like a couple finalists, but yeah.
Brian, here's what happens, dude. Let me tell you this.
So they
take great. This is the blind leading the blind here.
Here's what happens. So they take a dude and they put him in a house.
Yep.
And then they take like 20 women and they're all hot. Or
beautiful women, and then half of them are crazy.
Wow.
And half of them are crazy, and then the half that are crazy, they give them booze nonstop. And they put them all in this house, and they all have interactions and stuff. And
sometimes with each other, sometimes with the crew, sometimes with the actual guy.
Wow.
And sometimes there's, I don't know what happens in these interactions.
It's a flaming hot dumpster fire.
Yes. And
it's so slow, though. It takes like how many episodes to get to the final thing?
I walk into that thing, I'd be like, you, and you. The rest of you can go. I've got this boiled down quick.
Wow.
And they take these people and they put them in the house and they feed them booze, and the crazy people, they give the booze, and then they all fall in love. And Clayton's big problem wasn't having to play under the guys, under the sternful watch of Gary Pinkel. His big concern nowadays, he's in love with 3 different chicks.
Yeah. Which I don't understand how you can be in love with 3 different people like that. I don't get it.
Like in 3 consecutive days, basically, like all at the same time. That's really scary. I think but it's worked out for people. I mean, it really has.
Has it?
There's some people who are bachelor couples.
Maybe a couple, but if we look at the overall statistics,
the percentage.
Here's what this reminds me of, by the way. When I was a kid growing up in St. Louis, our big thing, it was roller skating back in the late 70s or early 80s. You'd go roller skating, and once in a while at Ron's Roller World, South Broadway in St. Louis, like the heart of South St. Louis City, once a month they would do an all-night skating party.
Wow.
So from Friday night, 7 o'clock, until Saturday morning at 7 o'clock. It was a 12-hour skating party. And as a 3rd grader, your parents would drop you off, and they'd pull off, say, we'll be back, we'll get you tomorrow. Like, this was big stuff. And as a 3rd grader, in 12 hours at Ron's Roller World on South Broadway in St. Louis, I could have 3 or 4 pretty substantial relationships within the span of 12 hours as a 3rd grader, which is what these people are doing.
And by relationships, you mean couple skates?
All couple skate forward, and then journeys. I've come to you with hope, and I've come to you.
I mean, Brandon's always learned how to, skate on pretty thin ice, so it was good practice for him in his adult years.
He was going to write like a book on love, I think, maybe.
Well, it was close.
The New York Times worst seller.
It wasn't about love. It was.
My sister watches The Bachelor repeatedly and like all the time. She's like a super fan, and she thinks this is not going well.
Wow.
With all due respect, and if I'm being out of line, you tell me so you can tell your sister. You say, you know who else watches the Bachelorette? Demented people like Brian's mom.
Oh, good. She enjoys it, and I think it's got a popular following. If I'm not, it really does, because I know when I worked at Channel 17 at the assignment desk, I can't remember if it was Sharon Ray. It may have been Sharon Ray, may have been Jessica, or Brittany. One of them had to break in with, as I recall, it may have been a tornado warning. There was something going on that was, and people were the fans of that show were calling in and mad that they're, I think it was either a tornado warning.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was. Going off of memory, Curtis Varnes would know for sure. He's got a great memory. But I think it was. If not, it was definitely something serious that they would have broken in on. But people were angry that people... And that actually happened in some other state. And the guy really... The
weathercaster went off because he said, hey, there's a tornado coming, and people were calling. So I didn't do this, but we'll remember our tornado 3 years ago in Jefferson City on May... And I forget the exact date at this point.
21st or 22nd.
Yeah, so it was 21st. It happened that late at night. So waking up into the 22nd. Anybody know it was on ABC that night? Because I'm watching ABC 17, and I was excited. I've been waiting for this for a while. And, it just starts, and then all of a sudden this weather, and I'm like, man, it's not even affecting the weather over my house right now. Why quit interrupting this? It was the live stage productions of All in the Family and the Jeffersons.
Wow.
Was on that night, and that's what I was flipping out. Now, obviously, I didn't know how bad things were going to get.
this is why the ACMs last night were so great, because I didn't get to catch them live initially, and they only streamed. It was only on Amazon Prime. That was the only way to see it. And immediately following like the stream, you could go back and watch it from the beginning, and the performances were amazing. I'm not like a very emotional person, but man, I was like almost in tears a couple of times.
Really? How come? What had you in tears?
So like Dolly Parton hosted, and I just think she's like just such an amazing person and has had such an amazing career, and like to see so many people talking about her life and, you know, all of the things she's done for folks. And then, you know, and there was a real effort for some of the older artists to partner with newer artists to kind of bring people up, and you saw that kind of spirit within the show. Kelly Clarkson sang "I Will Always Love You," and it was moving. And then Morgan Wallen won Album of the Year, and you know, he's been through some stuff and he's made some serious mistakes, but he, you know, his album is like the #1 selling album ever, and a lot of the artists talked about, and he too, about how hard COVID was for them, because what they love to do is go out and tour. And that was, I try to imagine myself in a career where everything I loved about my job was completely taken away. And, you know, had to have been very hard for them. So there was just a lot of, you know, reflection on the last couple of years and celebration for, you know, country music and touring and concerts kind of being back. And I was moved.
What were some of his very bad mistakes that he's made?
He said some bad things, but he mentioned like he's become a father, and he said, you know, I've made some changes in my life, and this is the reason why, and I hope my kid looks back on, you know, me working hard and trying to become a better person, and I appreciated that.
I have admiration for that. There's a guy I know, and he's kind of in that same thing. People are, hey, look at what happened to this guy several years ago, and it's like, you know what? And I get it, because I go through some of that too. I'm like, yeah, that was from several years ago, but people will use that sometimes, i.e. politics, but they'll talk about it today. Well, what about the good stuff that people are doing today, like Morgan Wallen and what he's...
Yeah, and he said, you know, when I wrote this album, I was a boy, or like, you know, a young guy, and I've done a lot of growing since then and learning. And I think, you know, we talk about people reimagining their positions in politics, but I think recognizing that you're in a different place now and that you've grown, I think is something that's hard to admit, that you needed to do that. But also, I mean, and doing it so publicly, I think for him, I just appreciated his vulnerability.
In saying, hey, yeah, you know, which I don't, the stuff that he's getting accused of making mistakes for, they weren't mistakes. It was stupid stuff, but whatever. So congrats to him. And by the way, applause for our friends over on Clear 99. They're constantly, these are big national award show, and specifically my good friend Scotty Cox and Liz were nominated for their work on our sister country station.
This has been a test of the St. Louis County Emergency Outdoor Warning Siren System.
What the heck?
Goodness.
It's
one of those talking sirens. Today they're statewide. It's going to get crazy here in about an hour and 15 minutes. There's a lot of things going on. There's drills happening today at Mizzou. I think it's happening at the arena. So off a stadium, you're going to see things happening there. There's training, 10 o'clock. All of the sirens, I think, around mid-Missouri. I know in Boone County, at least, they're going off at 10. So can you imagine, right at 10 o'clock, when these sirens are going off, and if somebody who's kind of just, you know, doodling around town, kind of unaware, and they're driving by the Mizzou arena, and they see, you know, all these first responders and don't know they're in the midst of training, and then all of a sudden you hear the sirens, and then they turn on the radio and hear what's happening in Ukraine and all this, and
yeah,
somebody's going to miss what's happening.
And all it takes is one person to kind of snap a photo of like all the emergency vehicles on the campus and say, what's going on at Mizzou? And then people are like, something's going on at Mizzou. And then suddenly,
the sky is falling. The sky is falling.
Well, and I'll tell you, the first time I heard that talking thing, because it's close to my law office in Jeff City, I actually like ducked. Like it came on the speaker and I was like, what on earth is that? It's scary.
Have we missed anything on the show today? Coming up 9 o'clock, Fox, Biden, big announcement today. Apparently he's going to be saying, yeah, we've got, we're going to impose some sanctions against Russia as it relates to oil. So maybe coming up, we'll do some leftovers coming up at 8:51 here on 93.9 The Eagle.
I'm Branden Rathert for Salter Lawn Service. Salter, one call does it all when it comes to landscaping, lawn maintenance, whatever it is. Here's a really cool thing about Salter. So, Salter, they've been showing up folks' homes all across mid-Missouri, not uninvited, mind you. People call and say, hey, can you come do this? Can you, grinding down stumps, tree stumps. You got an old tree stump in the yard, and it's been there for a while. Why don't we get rid of it? I don't know. It's just always been there because it's the way we've always done it. You can call Salter Lawn Service. And one of the cool things that we find with Salter Lawn Service is they end up showing up at somebody's house, and people, oh, hey, while you're here, can you do a cleanup? I got some stuff up under the deck and some old lawn chairs. Can you? Yeah, a lot of times they can do that, and that is just one of the reasons why you should get Salter Lawn Service to handle stuff like that for you, because Salter, one call, does it all.
People are talking about Branden Rathert.
He's an outstanding man, and I'm sure that he'll do very well. I think he's just outstanding.
This is Wake Up Columbia, 93.9 The Eagle.
In 2023, I'm confident the Republican Party will nominate a candidate who will be the next president of the United States of America. And at the right time, my family and I will reflect and consider how we might participate in that process.
Who dat? Does that dude sound familiar to you?
former VP Mike Pence. We'll see how it goes in 2023. Welcome into the show. Wake Up Columbia. Get ready for Leftovers. I'm Branden. There's Stephanie Bell. Hannah, the producer, is here first. Before we get into Leftovers, I want to tell you about the Como Man Show. This is coming up March the 19th, 10 to 3. This is so cool, and we've been excited to have people like Doolittle Trailers and Shepherd's Distributing and Side and Stricker Noby get behind us on this. This is just, I'm sure you've heard about this over the past few years. I think when you talk about great events that happen in mid-Missouri throughout the year, this is one of those that has become a great event, despite the fact I think it's only 6-7 years we've been doing this. But it's just a whole bunch of stuff for guys. There's a wing eating contest, beers, live music, there's booze, freeze, just all kinds of stuff.
And for gals, I mean, if you're a single gal, it's not much better place to be than a room full of dudes, right?
It's, I will say this, not that I'm, but people have remarked over the years, there's a remarkable number of females that show up seriously to the Como Man Show. Just ask Brian Hansen, the star of the Gary Nolan Show, which is coming up here shortly on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. Oh, by the way, so we were talking about the country, almost. Country Music Awards last night, or the American Country Music Awards.
Academy, I think, of Country Music
Academy.
Awards.
And Morgan Wallen.
Wait, Branden, didn't you used to work in country music?
So, and I never got that straight, because you had the ACMs, the American Country Music Awards, and then you had the CMAs.
Academy.
And then you had the Country Music Awards. You had the CMAs, the ACM. So you had all these different things. And in my years in country music, I never figured it out. Foreign policy as it relates to our oil reserves in Ukraine, I can understand that. Trying to parse out the CMA and see no comprehension. It's an award show. It's country music. That I couldn't understand.
Oh, so something coming up today is the state of the judiciary. It happened, Branden, you do not look enthused. But it's usually not controversial, but you'll remember, usually, like, they basically shut down the legislature because it's done in the House chambers typically, and because of everything going on, and maybe because of weather, but I think the first time it was because of the filibuster. They actually, or I don't know that they said that, but anyway, it has been rescheduled, and it's actually happening today. But I was seeing some tweets yesterday about Bob Onder said the speech shouldn't exist. Our Supreme Courts are not a superior legislature that can overrule what we do in this body. So usually it's just like a thing. They show up, they speak, give the state of the judiciary. But I'm wondering, is there going to be some
fireworks
arguing over it today? So we'll have more on that tomorrow. But I'm excited to hear what Supreme Court, Justice Wilson will be giving the address today.
She riding a bull like car. She usually don't cool stars. Two things that you're gonna find out. They don't love you and they only love you right now. If I smarter, I'd have stayed my eyes.
So that's the guy, Morgan Wallen, featuring a rap artist by the name of Lil Durk, won for Album of the Year yesterday.
I love Morgan Wallen. I have tickets to see him this summer. I was supposed to see him last summer and he got canceled. But
literally.
He did.
Literally and figuratively.
But his people showed up. All his writers from his album showed up and played his songs anyway, which was fun. But everyone was there to see Morgan, and I think it's already sold out.
So the winner for Country Album Music of the Year is rap music.
He put out like a double album. It's got like the most top Billboard in country music history.
Yeah, most weeks in top 10 for a country music album ever. Most weeks spent for best-selling albums in the top 10. All right, so I guess that's leftovers because now we don't have time for leftovers here on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9. The Eagle, next couple of days, I'll be out. So it'll be all this one right here. And I'm excited. I really am.
And tomorrow, my friend Jennifer Bukowski will be with me. We'll be co-hosting together, so we're super excited.
Well, very cool. I'm excited. Well, I'm excited for me that I get some time. But I'm excited that you will handle this. And I like this because it'll be on vacation. I'm not even going to get up early and listen to the radio because I'm not even worried about this.
Okay.
We'll see you. Gary Nolan's next.
Bye.